So you want to stream your Zwift racing or your Indy Velo racing or My Wish, but you don't want it to look like crap. Today what we'll do is set up either Zwift or Indy Velo, a camera and your microphone, and then how you can switch scenes. So now as you can see, OBS, I've got the basics set up just to record because I literally cannot start it at 0. Now this is the most important thing to do at the very start of your streaming, is to set up your video. So you need your canvas. I stream at 2K, which is 2560 by 1440. If your computer's not capable of doing 2K, bring it down to 720p and you can upscale it. So in this section, you can make that 720p and then upscale it to 2K. Frames per second, I put it at 60. You can bring it down to 30 again if you want to save on CPU power. It's half the amount of bandwidth. So this is not just to do with your CPU and your GPU, but it's also to do with your internet connection. So now you've got the canvas. This is the important bit to always check. If when you go to stream and things look a little bit whack, always come to you to make sure, because OBS loves to change this setting and it drives me nuts. Now, this is where the hardest thing, that I'm not going to go through too much information because there's a lot of information about these general settings in OBS. What I wanted to make sure is that you're aware of this canvas. The settings that you'll have here are different to what I'll have. So for streaming, depending on what GPU you have, if you've got NVIDIA NVENC, choose that over X264. Now this is where you can also rescale your output. CBR, forgotten what that's called, constant bit rate or something like that. That's usually the recommended amount. And as I said, I do about 15,000. But again, this is related to your bandwidth. The higher the better, but there's no use going stupid amount because you don't get much benefit. And then audio. So at the moment I've got 48 kilohertz stereo. Now stereo is not so important for Indy Velo and Zwift. I've got my Roadcaster. So this is one thing I have found with OBS, you can't delete these things. I can probably disable it, but I have a number of inputs that I can use. And then metering doesn't really matter so much. It's just, this is your broadcast settings so that you can monitor. It doesn't really matter about the output. It doesn't matter about the quality. Then you've got the output, as I said, stream, video, hotkeys. Now hotkeys, these are things that you can do for the stream. I don't really use any because I've just used a keyboard. Accessibility and advanced. Now process, always put it on the high, otherwise you will get issues. Okay, so I've got the video. Now this is where you can change things. If you really want to go nuts, you can make it 10-bit. 10-bit you don't. It's probably maybe more for recording. Rec 709, always use Rec 709 because that's what most people are watching on. You can do HDR, but it's a bit of a waste. Then you got your file name, writing, so this is recording. Alright, so that's the basics. Okay, so the next thing you need to do, bring Zwift or Indy Velo in. This is the scene that we have to start off with. So I've already added a display catcher so you can see what's going on. You don't need this display catcher. This is purely so you can see what's going on in the video. And then I've got my main camera, which is what you can see here. I can turn that off and then you can see this, but you can ignore these two. So this is my preferred way of catching Zwift. What you do is you go to window capture and then I'll type Zwift. Okay, now I'll just bring Zwift down one level just so you can see the game, how the window's capturing. So I go into properties and then Zwift. So easy as that. Now you may need to use Windows 10 and up just in case it doesn't capture it. And then you've got match title. Now don't capture audio just yet. I'll go into audio just in a moment. Okay, and then the next thing to do is make sure that you do properties and then, sorry, not properties, transform, and then fit to screen. Okay, so there'll be transform, fit to screen. You're going to see that there's still just a little bit of things in the background. That's okay, you just have a black border. Now, this is the next thing. If you want to be a little bit more classy with your stream, is you can add filters. Now, if you want to know how to download these, Nutty is a good source for this. He's an absolute nutty when it comes to streaming. So once you've downloaded this pack, it's user-defined shader pack. So, okay, now what I'll do is I'll actually get rid of Zwift. I'll bring in the display capture again. So now you'll see I go to Zwift, I do filters. At the moment, I'll get rid of that because I did have it before. So you go to user defined shaders. So I've got all of these shaders that you can see. Many that you don't really need, but they are quite fun. This is a shader pack. This one has so many shaders. It'll actually take me a little while to find. So at the moment, we don't have to do anything with this. We just go load from file. So do browse. Now this is where the difficulty comes in, is trying to remember where it is. Okay, so I've got the rounded rectangle. So I'll bring the Zwift in just so you can see the outcome of it. So we've got Zwift. Now what I'll do is I'll go to the filters and change the corner radius. So as you can see, because I've got the background at the moment, but you can see the corner radius changing. You can change the border thickness. Okay, so let me demonstrate what that looks like using inside of OBS. So got Zwift, filters. See how it's not quite right? So click on that, and then this is a corner radius, so you can sort of see the effect on that little box. And then border thickness. Okay, so it just gives you a little cool little white line around the edge, which always looks good. Now see how the issue is, there's not quite white lines on each side. So you need to mess about to try and get that to look better. So 20, maybe 10, maybe 10. And then the pixels on top, I'm assuming will be 10 again. Now you don't need to do this if you've got full screen set up already. That's already in effect, so it's quite simple. And there you go. Bring the Zwift up, turn the background off. And there you go, a nice classy setup already. If you want to ever remove a scene, is you press this little eye and it will hide the scene. So if I do that, it'll go straight to Zwift. Back again. So clicking on that will hide it. Counterintuitive, but you have to go here and add a sound source. Now I'm a bit rusty with this. I think it's audio input capture. So we'll just say mic or PC. Okay, then you choose. So just choose from whatever options you have. At the moment, I've got plenty of these options, but you'll see most likely your default setting, which will be the Windows. Okay, so if you have different microphones, different PCs, okay, so unfortunately, I don't know how to remove. Okay, so those are the options. Now you might need to also go into a audio output capture. This might be for Zwift. So this will be your microphone, depending on what microphones you use. I'm using a microphone that is a little bit more advanced at the moment. It's not just a USB microphone. Next video, I might bring in USB versus XLR microphones. I actually think that USB microphones are perfectly fine for Zwift. Just don't use a Yeti Nano that I had. It's rubbish. Upgrade that. Don't buy it because it is terrible sound. microphones, if you do have a good microphone on your stream, please comment below and add to it, because I'm not going to buy every microphone to test. I'm just going to show you the ones that I've used, and they are quite, well, these microphones are cheap, but you need to have XLR interface. But let's move on from that. So the next thing you want to do is you've got Zwift, which is great. Let's just also remove this. So delete. Yes, I want to remove you. Okay, so you've got Zwift. Looks great, doesn't it? But what you want to do now, what you want to do now is make it look a little bit better. I personally am a massive fan of just shrinking Zwift down a little bit. There's quite a lot of information that you don't really need, and you can have a little bit more fun with the background, but let's just say you don't want that. You just want to do the very basic thing. So I'll just go transform, fit to screen, boom, fixed. Okay, so you want to bring your camera in. Okay, so I'll add another camera. What I'll do is actually, this is a little bit more advanced, but I might just show it whilst we're here. Okay, so show cam. Now this is where I can add a clone. But you're literally just adding video capture device. What I'm doing is I'm doing a source clone, but just be aware this is video capture device. Okay. I'll just call this webcam just for simplicity. Except I've got to actually spell webcam properly, webcam. Okay, but this is actually a source clone. It is different. What I'll do is I'll just quickly show you this, but then also show you how to do the other camera. So, cloning my main cam, there we are. Don't need to do anything fancy. You can do audio. Now, I recommend that if you're using a microphone, don't use the audio from your webcam. It'll be terrible. You get echoes, so make sure you unclick that. Don't worry about video buffer because this is clone, so I'll go okay. Now I'll just close that down and I'll bring it in. We'll go to the main cam. So my main cam is, I've actually got it grouped. So just ignore the backdrop. That's just to make it so I've got fancy green screen. So you go to properties and then you use whatever you got. I've actually got Iridium webcam, but you can bring in any other device. And then so you choose that, and then you might need to click deactivate, activate a couple of times. Don't worry about configuring video, it's just rubbish, it's just stuff you don't need. And don't worry about crosshair, and then you choose your resolution, frames per second. As I said, it's always nice to do 2K. You don't need 2K because you're actually going to be making your screen a little bit smaller, as I'll show you. And you can leave all these alone. Make sure the color space is 709, but it should be automatic. And don't worry about that. Okay, so now ignore this camera because I've actually got this nested so that I can do this video. What I'll do is I'll bring my webcam online and we've got infinite webcam. So bring on Zwift. There we go. Because I've got a green screen, I've got Zwift in the background. Now to get rid of that, the best thing to do is just bring Zwift above, but then bring Zwift lower. So I don't need huge view of me. So now I'll go to my webcam and then I'll just grab the edges. Actually, it's kind of hard to show, but okay. Now this is not very good. Okay, honestly. Now, first of all, get rid of that in the background. And I got to get rid of that in the background. Okay, so this is pretty rubbish, I admit, but when you're riding on the bike, you're just going to be up and down vertical. So what you do is you just crop it in. You might raise it up because I can't because I've got it, but you don't want everything up to the side. I don't care about your wardrobe. I don't care about your other bike on the corner. Just show me your face and your pedaling. Now you can make that a bit bigger. Okay, now because I've got green screen, it's going to look kind of odd when I bring this Zwift in. I can fix that just in a moment. Actually, it works kind of, doesn't work, I mean, it actually works kind of well because I got the green screen. So that is all you need really. And then if you don't have the green screen, that's fine. All you have is just that black. If I'll show you, just bring that down. Oh, webcam go up. Oh, you got to ignore the green screen. So, well, I'm going to have to fix that. You'll see my green screen though. So just go, I'll just get rid of the effects. There we go. So, okay. Now obviously you're not going to have a terrible green screen like this in the way, but this just gives you a bit of room, a bit of separation for Zwift. And to be honest, I think this looks like a lot better. Okay, so then what you then can do is you can adjust Zwift. You can make it take up a bit more room, move it across so that it's there. Now, I'll just bring my webcam. Let me just put that filter back on again so that I've got the green screen. Okay, and so what do you do from here? You can make, let's just make a completely different scene by making it exactly the same, but we will just adjust a few things just to make it fancy, just to demonstrate. So I'll bring in the display capture again. Okay, so all of this stuff we can copy. We can just do duplicate. Instead of 2K, I can change the other one. This will be second scene. All right, so I'll just rename the other one. Rename first scene. Scene, not Seba. Okay. All right, so let's just adjust a few things in the second scene. We shall move the webcam. Now you can't see it, but underneath, but that's fine. Put it over here. Okay. And now what I have is transition move. So you watch what happens when I get rid of display capture. I change scenes. I've got to get rid of display capture in this scene too. Okay, so first scene, just chatting away. Second scene, oh, slide across. So the same thing you can do with Zwift. Bring it over here. Okay, so swap scenes. Okay, just something a little bit more interesting. All right, so that when you're riding along, you obviously use your imagination with this. Don't just do the same thing. But how do you do that? What you do is you go to transition move. So to get transition move, I'm a little bit rusty, but you do add. Let me just actually bring display capture up. So you go into scene transitions. This is where you can choose whether you want to cut or fade. So if I do cut, that's what happens, just cuts. So if you do the same thing, let me just get rid of display capture. So that's literally just a cut. Okay. Or if you want to do a fade, so I'll get rid of display capture again. Nice smooth fade. Okay. And you can change the duration. Obviously 0.75 seconds is pretty good. Then you've got what your own ones. So I've got these two stingers. So I've got a logo. Okay, so just change scene. Just has the same stuff underneath. That's a little bit more difficult to get. Okay, stingers. Be another episode to do stingers. But what we've got is called transition move. Okay, so all you need to do is just install it, and then you just choose this one and you should find move. And so that when you go to this scene, as long as these two scenes are in the next one, you better do that. Okay, so you duplicate this one. Third scene. third scene. Okay, but this time what we'll do is we'll put the webcam right in the center, and we can make it larger, get a handle of it. Okay, let's just make it, let's just, for the sake of making this look kind of nice, let's just make it larger like that. And we can make, also transform this back to fit to screen. There we go. So now you'll see when you click, goes there, back to here. Okay, now if you haven't got something in the next scene, this is kind of fun, kind of cool. I'll bring in display capture again just to show you. So do add, I'm going to add an image, and I'll just do, say, backdrop. So it won't spell it right. And okay, so you can just add in any background you want, any photo. So this one I'll just do, I'll do fit to screen, but then I'll try and enlarge it a bit more because, there we go. Okay, so now bring this down. Okay, all the way down. So this is what it looks like. If I then bring Zwift down. Okay, so then you've got, change my webcam. Okay, so this gives you a bit of an example. You can add whatever you want around here, make it fun. Okay, so this is what happens when you have an image, say, of, let me just do, I'm missing the good part of the city. Let's just put it there. When it's not part of the next scene, you'll watch what happens. It just disappears. See how it just fires off? Comes back in. Okay, so what you can do is you can actually change that in the settings. You can also override. So now the other option is to also transition override. So instead of going to move, I can do fade. Okay, so it's overridden these settings. So I'll get rid of display capture. So you'll see that one does move, but this one does fade. Okay, so I'll probably put it here just to demonstrate. All right, so fade. Okay, or I can do the stinger. So change this one to logo. Okay, so move and then logo. Okay, so this is a very good time to save all of these settings. So you can lock them down with the lock, because a lot of times if you're trying to adjust this but you press a different thing, things go haywire. You can always go back, edit, undo. There's only a certain amount, but always, if you do a mistake, just go straight back and do edit, undo. Don't try and fix it, because you can come into issues. And then what you do is you go to, you'll see how many scene collections I have. So you can now just duplicate this one. So duplicate this, make it as a backup or something, and then start working on the new one. And that way you can always come back to this setup as a simple setup, that things aren't wrong or aren't all over the place. So bring that back in. There you go. So you've always got that to fall back in on. And the last thing you need to do, obviously, is once you start streaming, make sure you're setting, this is probably the most important thing, is when you start streaming, let me have a look. I don't know if it's in here. It might be a YouTube setting now that I think about it. On YouTube, do not have stream ends when stop receiving signal, because if OBS crashes on you, the last thing you want is your stream to completely stop, and then, or if you lose internet, and then you have to then set up a new stream mid-race. Never ever choose that section on OBS. Always keep that off. Okay, so here you are scheduling a stream. Luckily for me, I have other ones you can choose from. sometimes you might forget. So I'll do reuse settings, or I can do create new. I'll just do reuse settings. So it has all the information here. Choose. Now I choose gaming just because it lets YouTube know what it is. You don't have to, it doesn't really matter that much. So Indie Velo, I don't think it's been added to the list yet. Doesn't look like it. So you just do Zwift 2014. Then you can choose your thumbnail here. Definitely spend a little bit of effort. Don't just use the game one, otherwise you're going to end up with a really ugly photo of you probably looking like you're doing a poop. Some people do that all the time. Maybe that's what they want, but it looks a bit weird. Do not click yes, it's made for kids. This is the worst mistake you can make. Do not click yes, it's made for kids, because YouTube will then not let anyone comment. And also, if you do swear or something, it's going to actually get rid of your channel, because this is designed if you're doing it for 5-year-old kids. No one's going to be streaming for 5-year-old kids, so there's no reason to click it. And then go to more, so you can do paid promotion. Now, of course, I don't think anyone's watching this as getting a paid promotion, except for one person who I won't mention just because I leave their name off just in case, but they will be doing this. And then this doesn't really affect anything. It just shows that it's paid promotions to people who are watching, just for what's the word for it? Transparency. And then alter content. Now, of course, if you did create AI to make it look like you're writing as me or some actual famous person, then you click yes. Again, this won't affect monetization or anything like that. It's just a new thing. You won't get banned from Zwift as long as if you're doing AI, then put yes. If you're just doing green screen like I am, just don't worry, just put no. And then automatic chapters, automatic places, well, it doesn't really matter. And then just put in your tags. I usually don't bother putting much effort into this. I still got Zwift Insider on there, because the reality is YouTube doesn't really use that information. It does, but it's such a small part. I can show that just for when you're first starting off. Next, so live chat, make sure anyone can talk. I know that there's a streamer that's got quite a few views who, for some reason, I'm not sure if they've done it or if a moderator's done it, but they're not subscribers only. This is the worst thing you can do for a channel, because people will not engage and they will not subscribe just because you have that. People would just disengage. Live reactions, slow mode, don't worry about that. And then public, private, I'm just going to put private because I need to get to the next thing, and I'll do done. Yes, it is 11:50 at night. Yes, I need to get this done. So this is the step that's the important one. Normal latency, yes, you can click this. This will mean you can do 4K. So if you've got a massive weapon of a computer and you want to run 4K, that's what you need to do, normal latency. There will be a few seconds, I think it's about 20 seconds, give or take. Or you can choose low latency. This will give you 2K streaming. This is the codec you want, VP09 I think it is. You can see how much better it looks when you stream at 2K, even if you upscale an image. But if for whatever reason you can't run 2K and you can only run 1080p as your canvas, then that's where you can choose low latency. But as you see, it doesn't support closed captions. So if you can actually speak correct English, it won't give people who are watching it, don't have to necessarily be people who can't hear. A lot of people will watch with closed captions because they don't want to put their headphones on. They might be on a train, they might be with their friends, they might be lying in bed with their partners. And they just want to see they just want to see what you're talking about without hearing. Or maybe you can hear and you just don't want to hear a certain person's voice. Ultra low latency won't get you that. I don't think my closed captions would have picked up on that before. And it won't give you the 1440p or the 4K resolution, but importantly, it'll give you that terrible codec. So always, always, always choose low latency minimum. And if you need to stream at 4K or want to stream at 4K, you'd go to normal latency. Now the latency on these isn't that bad, unless you are running a game show on your stream. It's not going to make a huge difference, but the quality will be a lot better. One thing I did miss is chat. So say if you want to bring your chat in, pop out this chat, Now I've got nothing on here. But you just copy this. Okay. Now you can go to any live stream. You don't need to be your own one. If you want to see what it looks like, what I do is I go to someone else's live stream, pop out their chat, because it has to be a live stream. You can't get chat from a stream that's finished. It won't pop out. So pop out the chat and then add a browser source. And so I'll just call this chat, and then just highlight, paste, and then this is where you just make whatever it is. So I'm just going to go 300 by 500, just because you don't want the chat to cover up the whole stream. Okay, there's my chat. Okay. What you can do is you want to do that fancy box, just go to filters, go to user defined. Do I remember where it is again? Browse. It was corner, where is it? Rounded corner. There we go, rounded rectangle, radius, thickness. Okay, so you do have to do the same thing as the other one. So you need to bring in the pixels. This is where it gets a little bit tricky. So what have we got? 10. That's way too much way too much thickness. Okay. And way too much there. So 5 and a 5. And then 5 again. And then 5. There we go. Close. There you've got. So let's have a look to see what it looks like without this. I didn't have Zwift, unfortunately. Let's just get rid of main cam, webcam. Okay, so you can put, this is where it's important to make sure things are on top. So drop that below. And if you just imagine what Zwift would look like over the side, then that's where your chat will be. I'll link the move transition below, and also Nutty videos. They're very good when it comes to this. It's better than mine, but I thought I'd just put something out that's just basic and for Zwift or Indie Velo. Now like and subscribe if you want to see more, and hopefully I pumped out a few videos up here in more advanced settings.